SWAP forces.
What's up everyone, you're watching the Downshift channel, and I'm going to start this video out with an apology because we tried to film a video yesterday based around this engine here. Did a little bit of work on it, just removed the AC and power steering, stuff that I don't need. The alternator is going to be relocated, so it was really just to start, and I just wanted to introduce the reason why I've chose the Honda K20. It's not going to make a lot of sense to, I guess, to sort of BMW purists, because my car is obviously a classic and it may sort of go against the grain for some people, but to me it makes a lot of sense, and I will explain why, because it took me a bit of time to get over the idea of it initially, but there's just no denying what this engine is and how good it is, and also there's pros and cons of every single decision that I went over a million times, so I'll kind of explain in short how I got to the decision of going with this engine. So I guess if you're new to the channel and maybe you haven't actually seen the car that I'm talking about, so first of all we'll lay over some clips of the car, and basically it's a wide body version of the O2, which is from, it's got a bit of race history. So the fender flares, or the wide body if you want to call it that, is from the Heidegger car, which is 1975 Le Mans class winning car. It's got a little cool story behind it, I guess, because it's kind of unique that it was not from a big budget team, it was from a very small team, and he actually went ahead and won Le Mans, which is pretty good, because it's probably the most grueling, challenging race ever. So that was something that really stood out to me. I really loved that sort of era of the Group 2 through to like Group 5 cars, where there was a real lack of restriction and the companies were like really pushing the limits of the cars at the time. There wasn't or at least as many safety issues as what they have today. Obviously modern cars are way faster, but in some cases these cars made way more power. They were exploring aerodynamics, which is something I want to do actually. So the front air dam of the car is different to what was on the race car that I've just mentioned, and what I want to do is develop a rear diffuser, and I've used the spoiler from the 2002 turbo, and I'm going to add a wing which I'll kind of design and make myself. I'm doing a bit of reading about aerodynamics. I know obviously I'm not going to be able to use a wind tunnel to test or to do anything, and really if it'll be noticeable, I just kind of want to, obviously for looks as part of it, like as I mentioned, I'm a big fan of that sort of era. So there was some cars that followed that, like the E21 and the Zack Speed Capris and that kind of thing. They really started to blow out the aerodynamics and just the things. They look crazy, and it just looks fun, and it's something I want to kind of bring to a slightly older car, and add my own flair to it, I guess, rather than to build a replica of a race car. Okay, so now you've seen the car, and I'd actually be quite interested to see what people think of it, if they think that what I'm doing is something different and they like the ideas of the aerodynamic things. And also I'd be interested to see what people think of this, but first just give me a chance to explain myself, because you know it's different, and people have done Honda engine swaps in these cars before. They've done S2000 swaps, which I guess has kind of gone down pretty well from what I've seen actually, and it's fairly similar. The K series obviously is a front wheel drive engine from the Civic and the Integra. I think that's all it's in. American cars, I think RSX or something along them lines, whatever they call them. So basically it's a 2 litre pretty much square setup high revving engine, which is perfect, exactly what I wanted. And that takes me to the M10, which is the original engine, is a 2 litre. It's only an 8 valve, and to make the kind of power that I wanted, to make sort of over 200 horsepower from an M10 is just crazy. You're looking probably 10 grand, and then a gearbox. I think the 235 Getrag is like, you're looking at like 3.5 grand for one of those second hand, and you're running into a lot of money for I don't want to call it small performance. It would sound epic, and it would be right, I guess. In some aspects, it'd be easier because it's designed to fit in the car. So mounts and other parts, it would be easy. But I just wanted to do something a little bit different, and the race cars actually ran a 16 valve engine, which brings me to the second engine, which is something I did really want, but again, cost was a big factor, tunability, rebuild cost, and that is the S14 engine from the E30 M3. So that's, again, it's actually a development of the M10, so the block's quite similar. It's a 16 valve head, which is, I believe it's sort of what they did at the time was took the head from the M88 and sort of shaved 2 cylinders off it design wise, and that would have been a good option. A lot of people have done it. It's relatively easy to do, and they make good power, sound awesome, tick all the boxes, but again, cost. With the ridiculous rise in price of the E30 M3, the engines are now, you're looking probably 8,000 for one that's just pulled out of a car. They're very expensive to rebuild, so again, gearboxes, everything, it's just going to add up and up and up and up. And to make more power, to make the kind of power I might want to make if I was to go with that, which would probably be closer to maybe 270 horsepower, 300, which in a car that's going to be as light as this will be fast. It doesn't sound a lot with like today's kind of numbers, but it seriously is when you put it in a light car. So that was the second option. The third, obviously I expected people to comment with the whole LS swap, V8, 2JZ, RB26, all the usual go-to that people say when it comes to engine swaps. None of them make any sense. So out of those, probably the LS would make the most sense, because even though it's a V8, it is the lightest engine. I just didn't want to do it. It'd upset the balance of the car, for one. The JZs and the RBs and other engines. The S54, the engine from the E46 M3, which is something I own. Perfect amount of power, perfect delivery, high revving, sounds awesome, ticks every single box apart from the weight. And I couldn't deal with like having a really front nose heavy car, as I've driven a few, and it just ruined the characteristics of the car, and it just makes it very sort of snap oversteery, and it's just not what I wanted to go for. The car's designed around a 4-cylinder, and that's why I wanted to stick with a 4-cylinder, and it's just, I just think it's the right thing to do. So once I'd come to the final conclusion it had to be 4-cylinder and crossed off those two, I got to the M42, which I bought one, went through with it, bought all the parts. I had a Mega Squirt ECU, turbo manifold, I built a plenum, did everything, and then I owned a turbo car, I didn't enjoy it, and I just wanted to go with a naturally aspirated engine. 2 reasons, I guess. One, it's dying out. High revving NA is pretty much a thing of the past unless you can afford a GT3 RS or very, very expensive supercars. And even in that platform, it's still a dying thing. It's still only a matter of time before they don't exist anymore. So something I wanted to hold on to is, because I'm restoring an old car, I want it to feel like a pure, responsive old race car. So it brought me to this, and who can deny it, really? It probably is the best 4-cylinder engine of the modern day. It's very tunable, it's very usable, makes a little bit more power down the bottom end than it would if I was to tune an old engine for peak power. So it's a little bit more usable as a road car also, which I will be using it on the road, I will be using it on the track, a bit of everything. And I just feel like this, with what I plan to do to it, will be the perfect balance. So with all that said, I guess I'm interested to see what people think. Is it a good idea, or do you want to just abuse me with Honda memes? So I don't really care either way. I'm happy for the memes. So the next sort of plans, I guess, is to start taking stuff apart. I'm speaking to some companies about some parts, so I'll be interested to sort of show you some of those if they come through, and hopefully we'll just make some good progress with the car next time I come home and get some of the bodywork done, and then start putting this thing in, because I think really when a car build starts to get interesting, it's what, first of all, paint's obviously interesting, but the when you start to put parts on, and I haven't done that for a long time. I took the car apart, it got blasted, there's been metalwork repair to do. Test fitting the kit was kind of fun, but until the bodywork starts to come together and then you physically start bolting parts on, I think that's when it's going to get fun. And we're not too far away from doing that. I've pretty much got all of the parts, and I really think this car's going to be special, at least to me anyway, because it's my dream car, and I'm building my dream car instead of saving up to buy it, I guess, which is a little bit different. So if you like it, let me know, give the video a like. If you want to see the build, if you want to see more of our videos, we've got a real sort of selection of different cars, and a lot of our friends have got different cars, so we try to showcase a broad aspect of cars and tuning. So subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the future.
Those looks not bad, bro. I don't know if it's because it's like not balanced right, so like